Hey everybody, Gormos here with another War Thunder War Swords video, where I talk a bit about my opinion on War Thunder related topics with some hopefully entertaining gameplay footage in the background. Now, I was not planning on doing two of those in a row, but we recently got some information about what we will see in the 1.37 patch, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about a few of those things, like the new progression system and a few things in the patch log that was posted on Reddit. First, of course, let's take a look at the new progression system, the way you unlock new planes and modules. I assume most of you have already read the developer's diary explaining the new system, but if you not, I will explain the changes and I will also put a link to the dev diary in the description so you can read it for yourself if you want. So let's take a look. The biggest difference to the old system is that now you actually have to fly the plane that comes before the plane you want to unlock in the branch of the tree. So far, of course, we have a simple level system. You only need to be at the same level than the plane in the nation's tree and you can buy it. You need to buy the planes in front of it, of course, but you don't need to fly them if you don't want to. This will change in 1.37. Unlocking planes is now tied into the module unlock, similar to the system that World of Tanks uses. So if you take a look at the new module unlock screen, it looks almost the same, but in addition to the modules in 4 tiers, on the bottom there is now the next plane in the branch of the tree to unlock. In order to do that, you first need to unlock a few modules for the plane. The dev diary is unspecific on how many modules you need to unlock in order to be able to start researching the plane that comes after it. It only says not all modules. But from the shown screenshot, where you can see an arrow pointing down from tier 1 modules over tier 2, 3 to 4 and then the plane, I assume it is a similar progression than we already have, just with one more stage. So you have to unlock either 1 or 2 tier 1 modules to get to tier 2 unlocks, the same to get to tier 2, 3 and 4 unlocks. And then you need at least 1 tier 4 to gain access to the plane research. So you don't need to unlock all the modules. But I don't think you can gain access to the next plane with only tier 1 unlocks either. I assume you need at least 1 tier 4. This means you have to fly the plane until you can activate the next plane's research, but you don't have to use it to do the research itself. So how does that work exactly? Well, first, let's take a look at how you unlock modules in 1.37, because that is also a little bit different. So far, modules had a fixed experience point cost. You flew the plane to gain XP, and once your XP bar reached the requirement, the module would unlock and you could buy it. And as I said already, you need to unlock 1 or 2 from one tier to be able to buy one from the tier after that. In 1.37 this works a little bit different. You of course start with the tier 1 again, but now you can pick one module and activate the research on it. The experience earned on the plane will go into unlocking this module. And again, you need to unlock 1 or 2 of the tier 1 modules to get access to the next module tier, and at least 1 tier 4 module to be able to start the research for the next plane in the branch. Now, compared to the current module unlock system, I consider this an improvement, as it allows you to go for unlocks you consider most important on the plane first. For example, on a fighter I consider the performance unlocks to be the most important, so I would go for those first and the weapon unlocks only after I have all the performance unlocks already. The current system does not allow me to do that. Also, this way I don't have to waste experience on unlocks I don't want, for example bomb racks on a Bf-109. The research on the plane works a little different than the one on the modules though. While the modules only gain experience from the plane they belong to, the plane research will gain experience from every plane that is flowing in the nation tech tree. So, in order to unlock a new plane, you need to fly the one that comes in the branch in front of it long enough to unlock enough modules, but not for the plane research itself. That is a big difference from the otherwise similar World of Tanks system, where you need to play the tank or plane in question for both the module unlocks as well as for unlocking the next vehicle in the branch. Now, last but not least, the tiering system will be changed as well. Instead of 20 levels, we now have only 5. quite a big difference to the current system. For example, the B40, B39, B38, F6F Hellcat and F4U1A are all in the new tier level 2. In order to gain access to the next level, you need to unlock 3 planes from the previous one. Of course, in order for this to work properly, the matchmaker needs to work different. According to the dev diary, the current matchmaker takes the plane's level as well as the player efficiency into account. That is news to me, by the way. I was not aware that the player efficiency was taken into account for the matchmaking. Now with the new system, it will take the plane's efficiency in the chosen game mode into account. So even though we have only 5 tier levels now, it seems the matchmaker will pay closer attention on how good the plane is within a certain game mode. That is exciting news. We all know that many planes have different effectiveness in different game modes. The best example of course would be the Yak-9T with its 37mm cannon, which makes it a great arcade plane. In historic battles this plane is in comparison much less effective. The other way around, good boom and zoom fighters are usually less effective in arcade than historic battles. We of course have to wait and see how this turns out, but I think this will improve the matchmaking overall. Well, that's an overview of the changes. I of course want to wait till they hit the server and I can try them before I give a real opinion on the changes. But a few thoughts on the new progression system so far. First, I have to say I expected a change like this, and a lot sooner to be honest. The problem with the current system is, while it might not be a problem for the players, from a developer or publisher point of view, the system that World of Tanks uses has an advantage in the long term. Currently, once you have a certain level, you can of course play every plane that is at this level and below. So assuming someone is level 20 in a nation, he can fly all the planes that are currently in this tree, and he can immediately play every plane and every branch that will be introduced in the future. And that's the thing. If you take a look at World of Tanks for example, I am convinced that a large part of its long-term success is based in the fact that every time they introduce a few new tanks or a new branch, like if you play World of Tanks the new German TD line, this brings in new players for one, but also brings a lot of old players back into the game because they want to try the new tanks. And, that's the important part, it keeps those players that are coming back interested for a longer time, because they have to play the game for a while to unlock the new vehicles. This helps to keep the player base high and means that the developer gets good value out of introducing new vehicles into the game. With the system War Thunder currently uses, this would not be the case, at least not to the same extent. A similar problem with the upcoming ground forces or later ships. With the current system, everybody that is level 20 in the German or Russian tree could immediately buy every tank in the game as soon as they are released, assuming they have enough Silver Lions lying around. And every time a new tank or branch is introduced, everybody could immediately play it. And like it or not, that means that with the current system, Gaijin would get a lot less value out of building and introducing new vehicles for the game than for example Wargaming with their system. With this in mind, I have to say that I consider the new system, which seems to be a middle ground between the old War Thunder system and the World of Tanks system, a fair trade-off. But again, I have to actually try the new system in the game to form a final opinion. An advantage for players with the new system is that it seems that you can progress faster down one branch if you are less interested in the other ones in the tree. For example, I am currently level 12 in the British tree, and the next plane I am really interested in is the Tempest at tier 14. As you know, getting from tier 12 to 14 takes a while in the current system. With the new one though, I should be able to focus all the experience I get from flying the British planes on just the tier 13 Typhoon and the Tempest after that, so I should be able to reach the Tempest faster at the expense of not progressing in the Bomber tree for example at the same time. So if you have a specific plane in mind you want to unlock, you should be able to get there faster. If you want to unlock all the branches at the same time, I assume it will take a similar amount of time to do that than with the old system. Also, since I have already unlocked the modules for the Tier 7 Typhoon, I should be able to start research on the late Typhoon 1B as soon as the new system is introduced. Now, another thing that is important to know about the introduction of the new system is that all the planes you own will be unlocked for you when the new system is introduced, but planes you have unlocked but you do not own, you will have to research again when the new system hits. In my case, for example, I am level 13 in the German tree, so I have the 109 G6 unlocked, but I have not bought it yet. So I want to do that before the new system is introduced, so I don't have to research it first. That will of course be a bit of a problem for people that just don't have the necessary silver lions lying around to buy the planes they have unlocked, and not the time to earn enough till the new system is introduced. Then again though, if you have to earn the money to buy the plane first, you can of course earn the money to buy the plane as well as the experience to unlock it at the same time when the new system is introduced. Now, there is one big concern I have with the new system. Since you now have to fly certain planes in order to progress, that makes planes that for some reason or another don't work properly a bigger problem. To give you an example, as you know, I fly with direct control and many planes have an unfinished flight model and won't stall correctly. In most cases that means they stall later and are easier to fly because of that, but there are a few where the opposite is the case. The Lex 3, for example, has a very annoying tendency to stall in turns, not even very tight ones, and do semi-snap rolls or enter spins, which very few other planes in War Thunder actually do. This makes flying the Lex 3 with direct control a very painful experience. So far, that was a minor problem. I did not have to fly the plane. But now with the new system, a new player that want to go up the Lavochkin fighter tree has to. Now, that is of course an example that concerns only direct control users, but there are other examples as well that concern everybody. What this means of course is that now that you have to use certain planes to progress, it is even more important that all planes, flight models and balancing work correctly. That brings me to the second topic I wanted to mention really quick. The 1.37 patch log that was posted on Reddit. I will also put a link to it in the description. There are many interesting things in there. For example, it states that almost every plane in the game receives an update to its flight and damage model. That is of course great news, since there are still very many planes with unfinished flight models. I hope that they at least get rid of the most pressing flight model problems we currently have. As I said, with the new progression system, it is even more important that all the flight models work as they should. It is definitely good to see such a large amount of updated flight models. Another interesting thing in this log is that apparently both historic battles and full real battles get a name change. Historic battles will be renamed to realistic battles and full real battles to simulator battles. That of course has no effect on the gameplay, but it is still a change I like. Historic battles was always a bit misleading. I actually like the variety of scenarios and matchup that historic battles give you, both the normal ones as well as the alternate history ones, and that you can play the scenarios with planes from different times. But of course that's not historic. So changing the name seems like a good idea to me. Well, that is what I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you think about the changes. And that is it for this video. I hope it was informative and maybe I'll see you next time.